Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you another game from the CasterMuse Narak Star League. Here we have an excellent Terran vs. Terran between RideSky and his opponent IcaruS. Alright, so IcaruS, I mean, he's a good Terran. He's still up and coming. We've done a few of his games already on the channel. You can definitely check those out. RideSky we haven't seen as much of, but I would actually consider RideSky like a little bit better generally than IcaruS in my opinion. Now, I think it's pretty close though. But RideSky is someone that I see achieve like top 10 on ladder occasionally, things like that. A pretty solid macro-esque Terran. But, you know, I think it's a pretty even match between them, so I don't want to say one way or the other. Now, the map is going to be Hidden Track. Hidden Track, I think, is one of our cooler new maps from ASL. And yeah, it's got a really interesting layout and a lot of buildable terrain in the center, which could definitely make this TVT a little bit crazy if it gets big, right? Whenever you can build turrets kind of in the center of the map, things can get cut in half pretty strongly. Now, that being said, let's just kind of wait and see what these openers are going to be. They are cross spawns, as you can see, so anytime you're cross spawns, if you do happen to do something like a command center first or like a barracks expansion, you're going to have a nice advantage there. Both of them going for barracks, so no command center first, not taking that big of a risk. Again, with a lot of buildable terrain in the center, you definitely can have proxy raxes, forward 11 raxes, even BBS plays. Now, a gas goes down here for RideSky. IcaruS is going to skip his gas. And so already what we see is an advantage for IcaruS. This, like, if they're close spawns, for instance, and you're opening this and you're doing something kind of aggressive, sure, you can punish the gasless expand. But if you're doing this barracks expansion with no gas and you're cross spawn from your opponent and they're doing something with gas, their build just can't really reach you before you have what you need, basically. So we are going to have the advantage to IcaruS with these openers, but we'll see how it goes. It's not like a game ending. It's definitely advantageous, but RideSky has been in this position a million billion times, as every Terran has. Anyone who goes factory expand has hit this and knows various ways, various tactics that can be used to try to counteract it. Now the factory goes down, 2 off of gas, getting that second depot, sending the barracks out after just 1 Marine, so this could just be a very fast CC, but it looks like he's queued up another SCV, so a little bit slower there, but his scout going up now towards the top right. He's going to find that a little bit late, and of course there's not going to be anything he can do since he's stopped mining his gas and everything. This SCV getting in, and IcaruS is going to see that, okay, he's won the initial build order opening. Right, he took that slight risk and now has a decent position. RideSky getting up here and gonna see the Marine. Yeah, may as well turn around. Honestly, you can't really get any intel here. As soon as you see that, you basically know all of their timings from there on out. Now the command center going down. RideSky gonna go ahead immediately into an add-on, 3 back onto gas, and this is where, like, it kind of gets almost creative for the factory expanding player. What do you want to do? Do you want to go vulture speed and try to run by? Do you want to go mines and try to lay them in front of your opponent? Do you want to start building your siege tank count and have that be your one advantage against your opponent going into the game? Well, it looks like it's going to be a siege tank. Now, in close spawns, a lot of the times you can push your siege tank up and start attacking the bunker. But again, cross spawns, it's pretty far away. He could technically send it. But, like, there's a lot that can go wrong for RideSky if he does that, right? Like, if it's mass vulture, he can maybe run out and kill the siege tank. If it's a siege tank on the other side, the travel distance added onto this makes it so that his siege tank will come out pretty quickly thereafter. But we'll see what he wants to go for. The factory finishes up. Add-on goes down. 3rd factory. Okay, so IcaruS is going to be going for 3 factory vultures here. And again, you know, this is something where the tank, I think it's good if you send the tank up, but you have to be careful not to overcommit, because once we actually have for IcaruS, like, you know, if you have like 6 vultures against this, you will wreck it. And of course, another tank will be coming, but the build time of vultures is super fast. They're going to have their speed upgrade. He's going to get a bunch of them down here very, very quickly. So this is something where you might want to attack the bunker for a little bit, but then retreat before they even come out really to counter you. Or maybe as soon as you kind of catch wind of what's going on. And with this floating barracks, he's going to figure it out pretty quickly. Right, putting some damage onto the bunker. Kind of the same idea as Dragoons attacking a bunker. Get some SCVs off their line, make them repair, make them feel a little bit uneasy. And of course, he can repair right through that. An SCV actually coming up, second siege tank on the way. A third siege tank. Wow, kind of interesting to see. 3 vultures out already. It looks like he'll probably pick up the Marine and the SCV and then maybe turn around. Yeah, and he... Oh, he actually... That was a misclick right there. A big misclick from IcaruS. He had 3 vultures at reasonable health going down. So certainly he clicked them over to like here or something. And then they turned around, went through siege tank fire, and he lost 2 of them. So instead of having 3 speed vultures on the map, which can one-shot SCVs and cause a lot of pain for RideSky, he gets into a bad position right there. But you know what? He comes out with 4 vultures and 2 marines as well as an SCV. Starts pushing these siege tanks back. Third tank coming up, though. Looks like he'll get the first one. Oh, siege mode actually hits these a little bit. But as you can see, right? Like when you send these tanks across the map, your opponent can just kind of counter it. You're not getting your reinforcements there quickly enough to really deal with the mass vulture production. Now, can you only imagine if his vultures hadn't repathed through the tanks? If he had 3 speed vultures on the map right now, IcaruS would be in a gigantic lead. But even in this situation, I like it for IcaruS. He's running around the map right now. Certainly, he must have mines just about done, as you can see. And now he can lay mines behind this little group of army. Right? This is only 4 units. This is definitely killable. You get up to like 12, 15 vultures, you're barely going to lose anything busting through this. So he's laying a bunch of mines down, going towards that natural base. In the meantime, we're going up to 5 factories here for RideSky. Has a couple of defensive Goliaths with those vultures as well. And yeah, just a little bit of pushing here. RideSky trying to get as much damage done as he can. Starport. Ah, okay. So actually an interesting choice here from IcaruS. He's gone for the starport despite having a floating barracks in his base. So this isn't going to come as any sort of surprise. But in the meantime, of course, these units out on their own, lays some offensive mines. Oh, nice targeting on that. Does get rid of them. But as you see, right, just over 12 vultures clear that, barely losing anything, just taking some damage. He's got good control of the map right now with the mines all over the place. And with the dropship coming out, I mean, it's a threat, but your opponent's barracks knows that it's coming. So it shouldn't be hard for RideSky to stop this from really doing very much. Now, he's going 5 factory vulture himself, so RideSky looks pretty well poised to take over map control here momentarily. Right? He's clearing some of the mines, sending out a bunch of his speed vultures, but 5 factory against 3. Your opponent is not going to be able to keep up on that. So we are going to need to see a lot of siege tanks coming out, and that is exactly what IcaruS is making right now. Vultures coming forward here from RideSky. Here comes the drop. He has 4 vultures off to the side, ready to go in, but of course we have the 2 Goliaths down at the bottom of the main base, ready to deny this dropship. More vultures coming up for RideSky. Let's take a look if anyone's making a 3rd command center. We don't see it as of yet here for RideSky. Just kind of focusing on producing siege tanks nonstop. Over on the other side, none as well. Oh my god, the dropship comes in and flies right over the Goliaths. RideSky not looking at that moment, unfortunately. So we'll get the dropship through and start dropping off some of these vultures. But as you can see, right, he's not really going to get much damage done. Plenty of units left back here to defend. And getting out with the dropship, probably the best case scenario. All right, looking over here. 4th factory coming up. 5th factory coming up for IcaruS. And, there's the 3rd. I actually missed it. Sorry, it makes more sense now. You definitely do want to take a 3rd base more quickly here. As IcaruS, you've had a bigger economy. You're getting into mass siege tanks, and your opponent is taking over map control with these vultures. So, let's see. The vultures running away. They've laid some decent mines, keeping everything back a little bit. All right. Sorry about that. My daughter walked in while I was casting. Here we go. All right, taking a look down here. Still, RideSky running rampant with his vultures, bringing some siege tanks across the map now. He's got to be careful. There are some remnant mines still around. A good spread here of tanks from IcaruS. Looking down at this base, yeah, only a single siege tank and Goliath. And it looks like he's just going to try to bust in here, running forward, laying some mines. There's not that many tanks here. Oh, he takes a huge mine hit from himself. RideSky. Oh, blowing up a ton of his own vultures there right before the siege tank died. The mine going off. Unfortunate for him. And that helps IcaruS to hold even better. Now, IcaruS holding his bridge. He has his third base. RideSky, are you making a command center? There it is. Just started his starport as well. So a little bit behind as far as tech goes and as far as expansions go, but obviously with some great production right now, a bit of map control as well. Swinging around with 4 tanks as well as a bunch of vultures towards this base. And he should be able to actually kill this base off, I think. There's not that many units here. Vultures being just a tad sloppy there for a moment, but lays a beautiful mine that will connect. Gets forward with these, sieging up his tanks. Yeah, laying those mines beautifully done, but oh, a Wraith coming down right now. And that Wraith going to make this short-lived. Doesn't really have vision over here as well. Gonna need to use some scans to actually attack in since he lost all of his mines that were spotting, all of his vultures that were spotting as well. A vulture gets in, starts laying mines in the middle here. Beautifully done. Taking so much health off of this, and the Wraith will finish up these tanks. So this was a great move, I think, a great idea from RideSky. But just the Wraith itself shutting it down since he hasn't been producing Goliaths very often. Now, these Goliaths come in, clear that out, but already plenty of defense here for IcaruS as he holds on to his third base. All right, once again, RideSky going out into the middle of the map, trying to get a good position, walking into some mines, unfortunately. Taking some big hits right there. All right, moving forward, sieging up. And it might, at this point from RideSky, what we might end up seeing is a focus on containment. Oh, no. A little victory there for IcaruS. He will run forward with his vultures and get the confirmed kill on that siege tank. But killing off any tanks he can right now is huge, considering he has more gas than his opponent. This command center just going to be landing for RideSky. IcaruS, in the meantime, taking top left as well. Kind of a sneak expansion. If you find that, it cannot be finished. But yeah, this is a map that I think could lend itself to lots of containment later game in Terran vs. Terran, which we might see him try to end up doing, but immediately IcaruS coming out here and trying to break through these tanks, gets a good mine connect, bringing plenty of siege tanks himself, has an advantage here in army as well as SCVs. Let's take a look at actual siege tank counts, okay? This is where it starts to get really important. Third gas is on the way, double add-on. We have triple add-on here for IcaruS and more siege tanks just overall. So looking pretty strong for him. Continue to move these siege tanks over. If he can open up this area and get his siege tanks like up here, the blue Terran IcaruS, that is going to be gigantic, because really the only advantage that we see for RideSky at this moment is this kind of forward position. If he can cut the map in front of this base is extremely powerful in TVT. Any map that has a central base like this, if it goes to the end game, that actually becomes important, believe it or not. Now, IcaruS walking some units, maybe towards the top left. I guess if he sets these units up on the ramp, that would really make it hard to bust this base without dropships. So maybe a good move. Has a decent amount of units here. Floats forward that science facility that you don't really need for that spotting. Still producing 3 tanks at a time, as well as some other handy units. Dropships being produced, +2 attack on the way. All good stuff. Science facility coming up for RideSky now, but he will be behind a little bit on that upgrade. Trying to get a bit of a containment off here, right? He's got a ton of mines here. 4 tanks and some mines. Another tank here. And look at this. Yeah, gonna siege up and try to stop any units from coming up this ramp. This is an important area. Don't forget, we have this base up here for IcaruS. So if he can hold off this area, IcaruS is going to have to utilize dropships to defend this base. And that's something that can become hard over time. Now, IcaruS expanding the bottom right. Also up here at 12. Oh my god, this guy's just making command centers everywhere right now, trying to run away with this game. Vulture goes up and actually finds this base. So this base should be pretty much done for. In the meantime, IcaruS comes forward. He's going to try to bust through the center as his top left gets found. A lot of siege tanks here getting into position. His Vulture's taking a lot of damage from the opposing tanks. And it looks like a very successful bust here. Quite well done by IcaruS, who continues to push out onto the map. Looks like a Vulture finds this bottom right as well. And this is getting kind of a hectic game for RideSky. How do you hold on here, right? Like, he's down in economy, that's for sure. Gonna send a few more Vultures up here, so that should end the SCV's presence. But more command centers have been made. He has made his own 4th base here. Let's take a look at that factory count. Finally has 3 add-ons of his own, 4 additional factories. That makes 1 more factory than IcaruS, but IcaruS also has those dropships on the way, which is quite important. Yeah, I am liking IcaruS's position a bit more. Looks like we do have a little bit of attempted harassment here, but plenty of units from RideSky gonna force those Vultures back. More units rallying up from RideSky. Looks like this base is done for, but still a 12-worker lead for IcaruS. All right, let's take a look. We have some drops being set up. Oh, I like that idea a lot. Look at this little drop. That's really clever. The Vultures deal a lot of damage to SCVs, and then the Goliaths add a lot of tankiness, so you can't just do something like send 5 Vultures to clear this, right? You have to actually send, like, something reasonable. Like, look at this. 4 Vultures coming in against a 4 Vulture drop? Yeah. Against this? Absolutely not. So a cool drop coming out of IcaruS here right before the turrets finish. He's going to get some good damage onto the supply line. In the meantime, a massive drop at the 3rd base of RideSky, but he does have a decent Wraith contingent. He's going to be able to clear this out. Doesn't actually end up chasing those dropships, unfortunately. I think that would have been a slightly better move, but he's, you know, he's doing things. Over here, he's trying to clear up this drop as well. So a little bit not on top of those aspects of the play, but now gonna do one of his own attacks. He should be able to bust through your lane. Some offensive mines against these tanks as they get pulled back. 2-1 upgrades on those, only +1 on the tanks of RideSky. So definitely out upgraded, but way more units here for our yellow Terran. Pulls back those Vultures for now, and we'll be able to shell this at least. Looks like mass drops coming in, and this should be enough units to clear this out. Oh my god, a huge mine drag, and he will clear out all the rest of these units as well. Let's take a look down here. These tanks almost all dead, taking a little bit for the Wraiths to deal with it. All right, massive drop coming up, maybe to save this. Oh. Well, not in time, I guess. All right, brings up his dropships, drops on top of the mines, and I guess he clears that, but okay. IcaruS has good control of the map. Taking a look at this, right? He's got good production going, adding the 4th add-on. He's going up to 8 factories total. RideSky, very similar, 1 add-on less. He does have less economy at the moment. But yeah, like, they both have their side bases. And I guess he did get this command center and this command center. So RideSky, in a lot of ways, has made this game a lot closer. Unfortunately for him, his economy is still weaker. He doesn't have as many SCVs, and as another command center gets landed anywhere, we're going to have full saturation from IcaruS, but we don't see that yet, right? So he does have a lot of non-mining SCVs, a lot of oversaturated patches that aren't really gaining that much more. So even though we have a much larger SCV count, doesn't mean as much as it seems. A big supply lead, but not as much of that is army supply. All right, the Vulture tank running around here for RideSky, kind of going back and forth. Single Vulture running over. Looks like this is a great setup. Look at this. He's got a couple of turrets. He's got these siege tanks that block all movement in this area. Starting to make turrets in the main base as well. Has mass dropships up here that can either attack or defend any area very, very quickly. All right, scanning to see if there was a drop potential. There's really not with the Wraiths, mines, and siege tanks there. And here comes the army of RideSky. I don't think he can do too much with it. Wraiths flying after those dropships. They don't get too much damage done. I think they picked off 1 there. And he has to pull back. I think at this point as RideSky, you should look at splitting the map. There's no way for him to actually attack, but maybe he can draw the game out. Take command centers in the center. take the bottom right, make sure you get your turrets there and everything, and make sure you have some way to deal with these mass dropships, because this is really a huge advantage right now for IcaruS. He can move big chunks of army around so quickly and so mobily. All right, IcaruS once again, unsieging, getting ready. 3-2 upgrades are going to be finishing up pretty quickly, but we do have +2 for RideSky. Unfortunately for him, only 5 tanks here, so that'll get busted relatively easily, but he does have a lot more tanks in the back coming up, starting to siege. A lot of these SCVs being sent God knows where. I don't know what he's going to do with that, but the siege tank battle continues onward. RideSky definitely going to stop this attack from moving through. And his base has been dropped upon. Once again, the 4 dropships dealing a ton of damage. A command center going to fall here for RideSky. And how does he secure this base now? This is a very annoying group of units to end up removing. Like, he's just got to attack in with a ton of units, but his army size is not bigger. So if he brings too many units to bust through something like this, that leaves his center much less defended. Maybe that's a time that IcaruS can break in. Let's take a look what these dropships are doing. They haven't been reloaded at the moment. More ground units being sent by IcaruS towards the front. Still, RideSky controls this area. Looks like he wants to try and attack in here, but of course the great upgrades on these tanks are going to help them to smatter a lot of this. Some nice siege tank hits go off on both sides. RideSky ends up clearing this, but the dropships can come down and clear. You know, 2 Goliaths and 3 tanks are not that big a deal. You can drop just about anything from 4 dropships upon them, and it will get cleared out. All right, so a couple tanks, a bunch of Goliaths going to be coming out. All's good. Clears that out. In the meantime, we do have a drop coming out from RideSky to the top left. Okay, this is a good move. He denies the top left base. But this base still mining. A good line of siege tanks here to prevent him from killing off that base from the high ground. More dropships flying across the map here for RideSky. This is pretty undefended. He's got 3 tanks above, but nothing below. Got to be careful about losing the dropship, though. Okay, pulls that one to this side. It was very low on health. And that's a quality drop. Look at that. Very Goliath heavy as well. So hard to drop, or rather counter drop to clear that out. Brings down these siege tanks, taking a ton of damage. RideSky starting to find some ways back into it, it looks like. Look at that, targeting down the dropships as they come in. Target those tanks also. Only one gets sieged, and looks like it will get cleared out by IcaruS, who, by the way, still holds this area, who, by the way, still has this base. So RideSky is getting a bit broke, right? He's got the 2 mining bases, and that's about it. Just a few lone patches left over at his natural. He has denied a bit of mining, sure. But we're just up 1 base almost continuously from IcaruS. Now moving down this army. Uh-oh. Nothing down here to defend. The dropships quickly running towards this base. SCVs being pulled. It's not even that many SCVs. You have 30 SCVs here. Maybe you have a better chance of clearing some of this. But he just doesn't have much at all. Dropping off mostly Goliath army here. Sieging tanks as he does, and a flank coming in. A very good flank, but is this going to be enough? The cost efficiency from IcaruS going to be great with these awesome 3-2 upgrades and the pre-siege position. So annoying to remove. And look at that, he takes this base down. The command center lifting off. Of course, it's not going to take much less damage with this many Goliaths. RideSky coming in with those tanks. Good scan from IcaruS to help clear those out. Bunch of SCVs end up falling here. Just having such a hard time. What else does he have left that he can do? His money is really drying up at this point. Looks like he wants to bust here. Not a bad choice. Oh, loses those very low health dropships, unfortunately. But he will clear the tanks here on the high ground. 2 tanks on the low ground. Maybe he can lay some mines next to that or something. But more dropships coming here from IcaruS. He really needs to deny this base if he wants to have any chance of winning this game. All right, siege is up a little bit late. The Goliaths not adding in quite enough damage, and this looks like IcaruS is going to hold on to this base, and I think this game, I feel like there is not really much left here for RideSky. He's barely producing. His income is very, very low. He's basically on just the 1 base income. Like, very good saturation, sure. But IcaruS has opened up so many avenues for himself at this point, right? He's got free reign over here. He can start coming in from multiple angles. Look at his army size. It's significantly higher. He's got like 50 more army supply. 3-2 upgrades against just +2. Yeah, looking very, very strong. RideSky bringing all of his units to bear. I think this is his final push. See if he can get something done. Dropship's coming over. SCV's being pulled as well. Such an important battle. And if this gets completely cleared, which it is going to, with these SCVs swarming on top of those siege tanks, RideSky with just about no choices left. You can see he's under 100 minerals here, barely eking up. The siege tanks move into another angle. All right, he's going to try to be a little bit greedy here. Siege multiple bases at once, perhaps? Yeah, laying a couple mines down. The dropships come once again. The 4 tanks clumped up are not going to be a very good match for these dropships. More tanks are coming in, but it's just not enough. IcaruS looks like he's going to take it up over 100 supply at this point. No command center even left over here. I think we're going to have to see a GG as his last few units get cleaned up. Trying to stay alive to the last. You hear comsat scans all over the place as they check what each other has. But yeah, I mean, you're walking up with 5 units across the map against someone with 175 supply. That's it. GG. IcaruS wins this long TVT.